بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه الحكيم: وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. The day of Karbala, the day of Ashura has ended. But we sit in the darkness because the Masa'ib have just begun. That household that was filled with the light of Rasulullah, the light of Ahlul Bayt, has been darkened in this night. The event of Karbala was against the principles of Islam. What happened in Karbala was not normal. Islam had come and changed even how war was done and had set rules of behavior. In the Battle of Khandaq, when Amr ibn Abd Wud was killed by Amir al-Mu'mineen did not desecrate his body, did not loot his body. The behavior that Islam taught, that the sister of Amr ibn Abd Wud recited the poetry of Imam Ali. And the rule was established that in Islam, no one will be desecrated, no one will be abused. But in Karbala, they broke this rule. When people would surrender to Rasulullah, he would keep their dignity intact. The responsibility of the dignity of the women was such that even after the Battle of Jamal, when the wife of the Prophet had fought Ali ibn Abi Talib returned her in a litter on a camel surrounded by security to the city of Medina. But they broke all of the rules of war in Islam on the day of Ashura. And after that, how they treated the women of Ali Muhammad, they treated them worse than they would treat the prisoners who weren't Muslim. Which is why the Masa'ib of Ashura do not end on Ashura. Rather, those Masa'ib that hurt the heart, that Abu Abdullah tried to delay by extending his life on this earth, begin in this night. They began on this after the Shahadat of Abu Abdullah by desecrating everything that was holy. A moment ago, they said, we look in the eyes of Hussain and we see Rasulullah's eyes. As soon as his head was separated from his body, they forgot those eyes. And they began to loot the body of Abu Abdullah. One would take the turban, one would take the armor, one even took the shirt from the body of Abu Abdullah. They wanted to loot Hussein so quickly that when the ring would not come off his finger, they cut the ring from the finger of Abu Abdullah. When they finished looting this, they turned their direction to the tents. And what happened with the tents tells you that this was not normal in warfare. Had their intention been to take wealth from these people, the greatest wealth that was possessed in that place was the tents themselves. That in the culture of the Arab and the Bedouin, the most valuable thing that existed was that tent. Yet when Mal'uneen turned their attention from Abu Abdullah, they wanted to disrespect and abuse the family of Rasulullah the most that they could. So they called out amongst themselves as they looked to the tents, أَحْرَقُوا بُيُوتَ الظَّالِمِينَ, burn the houses of the oppressors. And they turned their attention to the tents of Abu Abdullah. Sayyidah Zainab had been given instructions from Imam Hussain. Abu Abdullah had told her, "Oh Zainab, I will be killed in a way that has not been seen before. But do not strike your face and cry out. Do not let them see you weep. Oh Zainab, do not raise your hands in dua against these people. regardless of the difficulties that come upon you. Zainab, I am leaving you in charge of two important items. The first of these was Zainul Abidin, Sayyidus Sajidin. When they came to burn the tents, Sayyidah Zainab knew the atrocities against my brother would not end at that moment. She went to all of the ladies and she gave them a moment and she says, now the moment of our difficulty begins. I want you to take all of your wealth and give me every piece of wealth that you have. When they come to loot us, then we will give them this wealth and they will leave us alone. Every lady gave every possession she had that they remembered, except for one small girl who had in her ears earrings given to her by her father. The aunt came to her and said, Sakina, give me these earrings. She said, no, Auntie Zainab, this is the last thing Baba gave me. Baba has left now. I can't leave what Baba has given me. Auntie Zainab said, my daughter, they will take it from you. She said, no, I will tell them. They will listen to me. How innocent was that child? Says, I will tell them, they will listen to me. My Baba gave me these earrings, they won't take them from me. Zainab could not make the child cry. They began to burn the tents. The description Imam Zainul Abidin himself gives, when they burned our tents, our children became lost in the field of Karbala. Like you take a tasbih and you shatter it into pieces. So were the children of Ali Muhammad scattered in the field of Karbala. The evil intention of these men was such that one even writes in his own narrations, he says, I was one that when the fire was lit and the children ran out of the tents, I raised the sword over a child and cut him clean in half. Some of the children became stuck in the fire. Some, holding each other and weeping, died in the flames of the tents. Others escaped. They said that the Mal'uneen had such an evil nature. Some of the children they killed. Others that came crying out, they would strike the children and send them running into the fields of Karbala. In this condition, when the women finally came to the point there was nowhere for them to go, each tent had been burned. They wound up in a tent next to a sick imam. And Sayyidah Zainab asks the first question of the imam, O Sajjad, you have just become the imam. Your father is no more. Sajjad, they are burning the tents. Do we have to exit these tents? Or can we burn and die in these tents? Zainul Abidin replied, Aunt, it is wajib to save the life. We must exit these tents. As the women came from the tents, the intent was disgrace and abuse. So the horse riders would lower their spears at the women and rip the hijab from their head. One of the mu'arrikheen writes that on that day, there was a lady wearing a red hijab. They asked the question, who would wear a red hijab? And the answer came, we believe it was Zainab al-Kubra. They said, Zainab wore a red hijab on that day. Did she not know better? The reply comes, no, the hijab wasn't red when the day began. There was a young man who she was very close to, Ali al-Akbar. When they brought his body back to the tent, قَتَعَهُ عِرْبًا عِرْبًا, they had made pieces of this Akbar. Zainab, in her grief, had thrown herself on the body of her son Akbar. And from that, her scarf, her hijab had become red, that they ripped from the head of Zainab. In this condition, it was Mal'un Shimr who came and said, finish the line of Hussain. This is one sick boy that remains. Finish him as well. In this, Sayyidah Zainab stood forward and she says, I refuse to let you kill him. You have killed our children, but what is your dignity that you kill those who are sick? Shimar Mal'un had no shame left. He says, we are not afraid of the sick ones either. So Sayyidah Zainab threw herself on the amana of Imam Hussain, said, kill me before you kill him. This is where the ghira of Shimr came, that he says, you want me to kill a woman first. He turned away in the interest of earning Sayyidah Zainab. He called out, who will help me run horses over the body of Hussein? Sayyidah Zainab fulfilled the first amana and the first station of protecting imamat in this moment, of defending the lineage of Rasulullah. As the children were gathered again, they went to go desecrate the body of Imam Hussein. Those that could loot, looted. They were such vile men that it's described that one anklet remained on one of the daughters of Hussein. The man, as he stole this anklet, he wept. She said, oh Sheikh, if you are crying, then let me be. He said, but if I don't steal it from you, someone else will. This was the effect and the eagerness of their theft against the desecration of the family of Imam Hussein, which is why when that small girl with those 2 earrings entered into the Maidan, running from the fire, a man came, pulled the earrings from her ears. She looked to him and said, oh Sheikh, if you would have asked me, I would have given them to you. This child, they describe, a fire had caught in her clothing. As she ran from the fire in her clothes, a mu'arrikh says, I wanted to put out the fire. The girl turned to me and said, oh Sheikh, we are the daughters of Banu Hashim. Don't touch us. The Sheikh said, I only wanted to help you, oh child. She says, if you want to help me, are you a Muslim? This child had never known Muslimin to attack children. Are you a Muslim? He said, yes, I am a Muslim. Have you read the Quran? He replied, yes, I have read the Quran. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. The questioner, do not turn them away. وَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. Oh Sheikh, have you read these verses of Quran? That don't be harsh with the orphan. If a questioner comes to you, answer their question. The Sheikh replied, yes. She says, then I am an orphan. Answer me one question. What is the direction of Najaf? I want to complain to my grandfather. My grandfather was the one who cared for orphans. Today I am an orphan. I want to complain to my grandfather what they did to me. In the Ahlul Bayt, there is a special love between fathers and daughters. The proof of this special love was when Sayyidah Zahra needed to be buried. And there was no mahram there but Ali ibn Abi Talib to bury the daughter of Rasulullah. To bury someone, you need 2 people. One who lowers the body and one who receives the body into the lahad. Ali was so gharib and alone in the city of Medina. When the daughter of Rasulullah became shaheed, there was no one to help him. Ali sat in difficulty. Zahra, you have left me. How shall I send you away from me? In this moment, the hands of Rasulullah had come up. Ali, do not lose hope. I am here. Return my daughter to me. We imagine Ali ibn Abi Talib complained in that moment, Rasulullah, forgive me. When you left her, her eye was not injured. When you left her, her ribs were not broken. When you left her, her muhsin was not shaheed. But the love of a father was something special and unique. The same way the night of Ashura was a demonstration of the love between fathers and daughters. That there was that one child who had been so abused in this day that at the time of her death, they say that Zainul Abidin was as alone as Ali ibn Abi Talib. that in the prison where Sakina died, there was no second man who could help him lower the body of his sister. That Zainul Abidin complained to Aba Abdullah the way Amir al-Mu'mineen did. That when Zainul Abidin wanted to lower the hands of Hussain would come up, return my daughter to me. And Zainul Abidin would complain, Baba, forgive me, when you left her, her ears were not ripped. Her clothes were not burned. Her face did not bear the marks of the strikes of Shimr. They describe at the death of Sakina that she still had the marks on her face. There were two explanations for this. That one, whenever the child would cry, that they would strike her. The other that hurts more is that on this night, Shimr struck her so hard that till the moment she died, she bore the marks of the striking of the mal'oon on her face. It was after these incidences that remained with her until her death that the child ran looking for her father into the field of Karbala. In the darkness of the night, this child cried out, Baba, where are you? Baba, where are you? The love of the father came in reply and called out, Sukaina, ilayya, ilayya. My child, come to me. Come to me. When they had left this camp, Sayyidah Zainab began to collect the children, collect the women, to start and recoup all of those that had been lost in the field of Karbala. Her and Kulthum began to collect, and then it was remembered, my brother gave me two amanat to take care of. One was this Zainul Abidin. The other was this young daughter of his, Sakina. One may ask the question, why was it not Rabab, the mother of this child's responsibility? Mu'mineen, did you forget? That mother just lost a 6-month-old child that she saw cut from ear to ear. Abu Abdullah gave the responsibility to Zainab. Zainab, take care of this child for me. Sayyidah Zainab realizes the child is missing, goes looking in the maktal, finds a small girl, not on the chest because the chest doesn't exist, holding the feet of her father, crying and sleeping in the field of Karbala. She returns this child to the rest of the women, and she now begins the process of guarding them in this night. Take some sleep and some rest. It has been a difficult day, whether they slept through unconsciousness or they slept under the open sky. Sayyidah Zainab stood and protected these children. She says, until last night, it was my brothers, it was my sons who would protect. Today it is Zainab. Oh Abbas, why don't you see the shuja'at of Zainab in the field of Karbala? Oh Akbar, where are you now? Oh Aun and Muhammad, don't you come to see your mother? As she protected these women and children, from a distance, a rider came in her direction. The exchange begins. Rider, we have nothing left to loot, leave us alone. The rider proceeded. She said, Rider, if you insist, come loot us in the morning. If there is anything left, we will give it to you. The rider would not stop. She called out, do you not know whose daughter I am? We are the children of ferocity. From a distance, the rider called out and said, I know of your Qabila. Where is your tall one, your strong one who would stand guard of you? Oh, Sheikh, they cut his arms and filled him with arrows. He sleeps by the Furat now. He won't answer us. Your Qabila had a young man who looked like Rasulullah. Why can't I see him? Oh, Sheikh, they put a spear in his chest. The leader of your Qabila, wasn't he the grandson of the Prophet? Oh, Sheikh, he is now one without his head that has been taken to Kufa. Oh, Sheikh, you know much of our family. Who are you, oh, Sheikh? Zainab, it is me, your father, who has come to aid you in this difficulty. The love between fathers and daughters, that the fathers could not bear the difficulties of their daughters. But Zainab in this moment would complain, Baba, I called you all day, you did not come to me. Baba, I called you, Ya Ali, when Hussein lifted the spear from the chest of Akbar. I called you, Ya Ali, when Asghar flapped in the arms of Hussein. I called you, Ya Ali, when they would not stop slaughtering my brother Hussein. Baba, why could you not come sooner? Baba, why did we?
There is Salami Akhir, so please keep sitting. Salami Akhir and then Matam. Brother Afzal is going to read Salami Akhir. Brother Muhammad wa ali Muhammad Salawat.
सलाम खाक नशीनों पे सोग वारों का गरीब देते हैं पुरसा तुम्हारे प्यारों